Hello, everybody. It's nice to be there today with friends and followers.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, alors pour la première fois sur cette chaîne, c'est peu dire que j'en suis honoré, excité, content. Nous avons un invité de marque qui est pour moi, autant le dire franchement, le meilleur prof de piano jazz sur YouTube, Jeremy Siskind, qui me fait l'honneur et l'amitié d'accepter aujourd'hui de venir sur cette chaîne pour nous parler de Peterson. Il y a 9 heures de décalage horaire entre nous, il est en Californie. Et donc, je ne vais pas faire la traduction simultanée, ni Olivier non plus, qui a déjà plein de choses à faire. Donc voilà, l'essentiel de cet entretien va se passer en anglais, mais je tenais quand même à vous en dire quelques mots. Évidemment, beaucoup d'entre vous, je pense, connaissent Jérémy. Ceux qui ne le connaissent pas retrouveront un lien vers sa chaîne YouTube. So, hello Jeremy, it's so nice and kind to you to be there with us today. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy to talk about Oscar Peterson.
Okay. I think you can speak a very little French, but
Very little.
very little. Okay, so you don't understand how many compliments I have, have just said about you. It's a good thing because that would have been bothering for you and for me. So no, no problem. So Jeremy, I watch your channel very often. In fact, you do two video a week for many years now, and in this video sometimes you speak about Oscar Peterson. So there are some of your videos about Oscar, Kelly's Blues, licks and runs from Oscar Peterson, the stop chorus on My One and Only Love, and I hear you tell sometimes that your story in jazz began with Oscar Peterson. So could you at first start with telling us how you meet Peterson and what was his place in the beginning of your travel in jazz?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a mentor who says that most pianists either come to jazz because of Oscar Peterson or because of Bill Evans. And I think that's actually somewhat true. And for me, it was Oscar Peterson. I have an uncle. I don't have a lot of music in my family, not a lot of musicians, but I have an uncle who's kind of a hobbyist pianist and tends, he's not really necessarily a jazz fan, but he just loves people who play the piano and do really cool things with the piano. And so when he heard that I was, maybe interested in improvisation and jazz, he gave me the album Saturday Night at the Blue Note, which was a Oscar Peterson kind of reunion, combining some of his different trios with Herb Ellis and Ray Brown. And they played on drums? I can't remember who plays drums. But it's a quartet. And the very first track on that is Kelly's Blues. And that's just one of those albums that I just wore out. I just listened to again and again and again. One of I'm sure we'll talk about this, but I think one of the rewarding things about being a fan of Oscar Peterson is I feel like there's layers to peel off. It's not just, I had that first encounter, but then throughout my career, I discovered all these different eras of Oscar Peterson, all these different approaches that I could appreciate and learn and grow with. But for me, it was that Saturday Night at the Blue Note, and then there's a encore at the Blue Note album that went with that, which was really my introduction to Oscar.
Okay, how old were you when you discovered this record?
12 or 13.
Okay. And so that was the beginning for you with Oscar. Are there other albums that you listen to a lot, or you
And how much time do you have? Obviously we get requests. I mean, every musician I know can sing every single solo from We Get Requests.
Yes, for sure.
For me as a solo pianist, it goes by a couple of different names, but my favorite instruments, or it's number 4 of Exclusively for My Friends, with Someone to Watch Over Me and Body and Soul and Who Can I Turn To and Little Girl Blue. I mean, that's just one of the greatest solo piano albums ever recorded, in my opinion. Tracks is also a great solo piano album. I think incredible. And then I have a really, really special place in my heart for the drumless trio era. I love particularly Live at the Concertgebouw. I'm probably pronouncing that terribly. And I love Live at the Stratford Shakespearean Festival. And the stuff with Anita O'Day is incredible. And for a while, I got to play in a trio where we did all of those arrangements. So I know a lot of those arrangements from the drumless trio, just forwards and backwards. And I just love that music. So those are some of the ones that stand out.
Okay, and your travel began with Peterson, but as you told us to start, every pianist, Oscar Peterson was a door into jazz, but many of them, after in their career, maybe say it's they want to go further, I don't know, maybe somewhere else, someone maybe more complicated, or that's not my point of view, but so a lot of pianists say that Oscar Peterson is a very good way to go into jazz, but after they discover, for example, of course, Keith Jarrett, or music that seems maybe less accessible. What do you think of this? And was it your case too, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess I don't necessarily think about it as more complicated or more accessible or less complicated or less accessible. For me, and I think for a lot of people, we want to play music that really rhymes with who you are in the world. And Oscar Peterson, is this comes from an African American tradition. I don't know too much about him biographically, if I'm being honest. But, he obviously kind of grew up and takes to this music. To me, a lot of it is really based in the big bands and putting in to a pianistic standpoint, what Count Basie's doing and what these other big bands that he loved are doing. And I really love that music, but it's not the music that I grew up with necessarily. So one of the things that I'm always trying to do artistically is to take, combine all of my influences, which certainly Oscar is a big part of that, but also make it reflect my journey in the world and who I am as a 30-something white person who grew up in California in America, and the kind of music that I grew up with, the kind of things that the world sounds like and looks like to me. So to me, that's part of the evolution of music. Not to say that I don't value what Oscar's doing, but it wouldn't be honest for me to just imitate Oscar to try to sound like him all of the time. I'm trying to bring in my perspective as well. So
Of course.
So I got really interested in the music of Fred Hersch, and he became really my mentor. And one of the things that I'm dealing with as an artist now is figuring out, how does something like Fred Hersch, which in some ways is like diametrically the opposite of Oscar Peterson, how do I combine these different influences that I love and make something that still feels authentic and authentically mine? And I don't have all the answers, but hopefully.
Yeah, that's a so good question. That's exactly what I wanted to ask you. Have you found the solution to do so?
No, but the older I get, the more I'm trying to just get out of the way, take all of these things that I love, whether they're We Get Requests or Night Train or, Live at the Stratford Shakespearean Festival, and then, Songs Without Words by Fred Hersch, and then the music of Debussy, who I love, and let myself just explore all of these different things without saying it has to be one, it has to be the other. And that's hard.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about Debussy, because that was one question I wanted to ask you, because I know that Debussy is very important for you, and a French very good pianist say, for me, Maurice Ravel is the most part of Bill Evans, and Debussy is for Peterson. What do you think about this assertion?
Wait, say it one more time. I want to really understand that.
He says that for Bill Evans, harmonically, the most important influence was Maurice Ravel, and Oscar Peterson was Debussy. What, does it mean something for you? Does it?
You know, I'm not sophisticated enough to draw that distinction. If I'm being totally honest, I could make something up, but.
And the link between Debussy and Peterson for you does exist, especially with the kind of seventh chord with ninths and things that we find a lot in Debussy's music, and the way you like and study Debussy has something to see with Peterson for you, or not at all?
Yes, I don't know that I specifically really link the two of them. I think, Debussy is certainly in the air of all jazz harmony. And I think particularly, like, when I think Debussy, I really link him with Strayhorn. Like, I think Debussy was so influential on Strayhorn. I don't necessarily see a direct link between Debussy and Oscar Peterson, but certainly we could look at how they both use harmony, and we could find a lot of octatonic moments and whole tone moments and these 13th chords that do hold together in common. So I think there's some linkage there, but I don't necessarily see it being a close linkage.
Okay. And could you tell us, what do you admire the most in Peterson's playing? Is it rhythmic virtuosity, harmony, the joy that his music spreads? What is there something in particular that for you is linked to the name of Peterson?
It's hard to limit, but let me tackle two. I think you mentioned the joy, and I think that's one of the things that really stands out for me, is that it's so easy to get distracted by the technique because the technique is so extraordinary, extra worldly, but the technique is always in service of joy and rhythm and accents and forward propulsion and just all of these things that you don't have to you don't have to appreciate the technique to just appreciate how good the music makes us feel. And even in a solo piano playing, he's just able to express such rhythmic intensity in his playing in such a beautiful way. But I think the most underrated, I was referencing how, like, throughout my journey, I've discovered more and more of things that I appreciate about his playing. I think the touch and the pianism, like the detail of the pianism, is the most underrated aspect. Everybody looks at how fast he plays, and that is like 1/100th of what's impressive about his technique. It's the pedaling, it's the voicing of chords, it's the differences in articulation, it's the being able to play soft with such precision. Like, those are the things that when I listen to him now totally give me chills. Whereas there's other people who can play fast, but the level of pianism that he brings to me is just really extraordinary the more that I listen to him play.
I absolutely agree with you. It's absolutely amazing, and especially the way he accentuates, even when he speed is one thing, but the way he accentuates just a few notes in a very, very speedy phrase or something. It's absolutely amazing and slight and okay. And do you have a little exercise to show something that is inspired by Peterson, or referring to what he does, or something that you maybe give to your student, inspiring?
I did bring something, and this is certainly related to Oscar, although a lot of kind of blues oriented blues-based pianists do this. So let's see. So what I'm going to show you is this kind of double note. I should have a good name for this, but it's kind of combining a double note and a turn within the blues scale. So this kind of gesture. And you hear this in a lot of great blues pianists, and definitely Oscar, to me, is very much among the crowd and among people who use this quite a bit. Give me just a second. I'm going to pull up, if I may, I'll pull up some blank manuscript, and I'll show your audience what we're doing here. So, is this going to work? Yeah, it's going to work.
You're much more professional than we are. It's a shame for us, you know?
But let's not say anything too hasty. So we'll do this in F, and we're going to start with the F blues scale. So I've got the F blues scale written on the top line here.
Okay.
All right, so that's step one, is just to know your F blues scale. All right, you mastered step one. Congratulations. And now step two is we're going to play it going down, and we're going to create a I guess we could call it a hemiola properly. So we're going to do da 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 ba da da da. So we're going to start with quarter note alternating with an eighth. So let me write that out properly. Ba-da, 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 da-da, da-da. And this will be important later. So, etc. Okay. You with me?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Now, step three is on the quarter notes. We're going to add a note above. So we've got this, and we're going to add. Okay. And the notes that we're going to add above are going to be roughly a fourth above. A fourth, or in some cases, what we call a tritone, an augmented fourth. And one of the things that's funny that your listeners might notice, your watchers, whatever your viewers, whatever you have, is that there's one note here that we add that's outside of the blues scale, but it's very common to add this D natural. Oscar Peterson loved combining what people sometimes call the major
Absolutely.
and the minor blues scale. Go ahead.
Yes. I just say it for my followers, because we did an entire video about what I call the blues 6 scale, which is exactly what you did, which is very interesting because you can hear a diminished chord. Yeah. So go on. That was just to make a link between what you were talking about and a video we make about maybe 1 or 2 months ago. Okay. Okay.
All right. So now we've got. And we can keep going. Okay. So now for the pièce de résistance for you.
Très bien.
Thank you.
And so now we're going to add what I call a turn beneath, around the quarter notes. And I'm going to notate this just as 16th notes, but as you can hear, I, and usually Oscar Peterson in my observations, make the first of those 16th notes a little bit longer. So it's not... So probably there should be some kind of a tied, complicated rhythm, but I'm not going to bother with that.
Yeah, but one more, it's funny because we had also a video on that, on the way he usually doesn't play triplets. He doesn't play 1, 2, 3, 1, but 1. Oscar doesn't play triplets, in fact, to ornamentate. Okay, so
I lied. I'm actually going to notate these as triplets because that's more correct. So we've got. I'm trying to write this out, which isn't going well. Good thing you're blind. You wouldn't appreciate this. This terrible notation. But this will at least give everybody an idea of the notes that we're using, even though the rhythm just looks like a mess. Because I'm trying to write triplets over a tied rhythm. Alright. Exactly, you've got it just exactly right. So. And if you could, like, it's so great with the hemiola because we've got this kind of over the bar line feel. And you can hear Oscar Peterson sometimes just goes back and forth between two of these. Like. So it's a great little bit of vocabulary, or you can use it as that longer strain, that longer pattern. Is that all making sense?
yes, absolutely, that's great. And you present it in F, but of course you transpose it. Are there keys in which it's, I suppose, more difficult to do? Is there something you want to tell us about the way to transpose it eventually?
So I would imagine, when I think of the blues scale, I always think of E flat has basically all the black keys. Yes. And so that means it's a tricky one to do this kind of thing in, where you have to do a lot of crossing over with the thumb. So I imagine E flat is kind of a hard key, whereas D is almost all white keys, and so that's probably a nice and easy key. Yes. But other than that, no, I don't have anything in particular about transposing. Yeah, just E flat would probably be. In general. On something like this, but it's just a problem I see with so many piano students. Make sure you're not going forward with your hand when you play the white keys and back when you play the black keys. Try to stay kind of right at the border of the black keys. If I do a little zoom in here, I'm just trying to go straight across the keyboard, even when I play in E flat. Regardless of whether I'm thinking black keys or white keys. I don't want to be zigzagging into and out of the keys based on the white-black pattern.
Yes, and it's a way to keep your rest at the same place and to get everything under your finger, even if it's white or black keys. That's the point?
Yeah, exactly. And okay. I would also recommend to folks, as they practice, there's kind of two hard things about this. There's the crossing over, and then there's the rhythm. So I would maybe practice first just in straight 16th notes. And then try to add the cross rhythm. For some people that might help, for others it wouldn't. I don't know.
Okay, and do you practice it ascending also? Or
I don't. because as you can see, you can't really connect it. It feels strange.
Yes, yes.
So to me, this is really just like I showed you. I might go. I might group two together, but to me, it doesn't really work as an ascending lick.
Yes. Okay.
It's really just for descending for me.
Okay. Okay, so Jeremy, thank you very much for your exercise, for the time, for your conversation, for the kindness to accept our invitations. That was really a pleasure and honor. And today we are the 4th of July, so I'm going to wish you a very good Independence Day. Yes, the video is is on air on the 4th of July. So so we are a bit.
I hope our country is still here by then. We'll see.
Yes, and that was really a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It was very fun. Thank you for the invitation.
Okay, and even if you don't want to do so, I'd like to recall that you very elegantly told us that you didn't want to talk about it, but I want to do it. You are the author of marvelous books for jazz pianist, the 3 volumes of the Jazz Piano Fundamental, book 1, 2, and 3, depends on the level you are, on the way you are on your travel, and also Jazz Standards, which is a book of your own arrangements. One of them contains an arrangement made in the style of Oscar Peterson, and I Can Give You Anything But Love, which is very interesting if you want, for those of you who wants to see what are Peterson stylistic characteristics. It's extremely interesting. So don't hesitate to go on Jeremy's website and see what he does. He didn't pay me for it, but I'll say...
but you will.
I hope he will, but no, your work is absolutely amazing. So thank you for all that, and thank you to have been with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Take care.
Okay. Okay, babe. Ciao. Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you.